For months now, Dr. Mundo has been terrorizing Summoner's Rift. If you're in low elo, you've seen him become an unstoppable monster who ignores CC, tanks everything you throw at him, and out-damages your AD carry. But even in the highest echelons of the game, where Mundo has historically struggled, we've seen some of the best top laners put on an absolute clinic with this champion.
Does AD carry know that he needs to play safe? This AD carry is 160 CS, just like me.
He spawned memes, some kind of weird subculture for all the sickos that love him, and at his strongest, he looks unbeatable. But despite all that, his win rate remains relatively low. Riot hasn't touched him, and there's a real argument to be made that he's not actually that strong. So, is Mundo OP, or do we just suck?
Before we get into the video, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Omen. This year, Omen has been sending us all across the world to cover the biggest events in esports, and thanks to them, we were at EVO in Las Vegas to capture the hype for all of you. Unleash your ultimate gaming potential with the Omen Max 16 laptop. Crafted for powerful performance, the Omen Max 16 is equipped with up to an Intel Core Ultra 9 processor, offering gamers desktop-level performance anywhere encased in a light, portable body they can take on the go. Then there's also its groundbreaking new self-cleaning fan technology called Fan Cleaner. Powered by Intel, this built-in feature periodically reverses the fan's direction to prevent dust buildup for absolutely peak reliable performance. And for the first time ever, Omen gives players the ability to manually overclock their laptop CPU and GPU for max performance up to 250 watts total processing power without having to go into the BIOS. Thanks again to Omen for helping players navigate through any gaming obstacle to reach new levels with the Omen Max 16, now available at omen.com. And now, let's get back to our story.
Okay, so to start, what is so frustrating about Dr. Mundo? Well, the core of his kit has been the same since his rework. He's got a weak laning phase, but scales into an unkillable monster, throwing cleavers and just generally going where he pleases. Against a coordinated team, he might never actually get to that power spike, and he does have clear counterplay. In the spring, we saw a little Mundo played in the jungle, mostly for his very effective clear, but since then, he's mostly fallen out of competitive unless your name is Broken Blade.
Cap's currently untouched. Rooster just keeps going forward. He's managed to take one. Now pushing in on the Caps. He doesn't have any mana left, but it might not matter. Cap's ready to go over the wall. Skewmon ready to cover if he needs to. That's a three-man shockwave, but he can't finish the kills. Skewmon can, though. Here comes the Poppy. Dipping in, ducking out. BDS on the chase. Knocked back into the wall. New Thunder Sky healing. You cannot kill this Yordle. The chase still coming through, and right in time, the money man himself with the Quadra. A Quadra for Broken Blade.
But on the other hand, in the chaos of solo queue, only 2 players can really punish Mundo's early game, and it's not always easy to do. Solo queue is basically Mundo's playground.
By the way, chat, by the way.
Yeah, it's not a good coach. That guy's
And earlier this year, Mundo started to gain a lot of notoriety thanks to that man, Alois, who started absolutely farming clips, at one point playing an insane high damage build he called Machine Gun Mundo. By taking advantage of Mundo's relatively unexplored combos, building items on him that no sane person had, and having phenomenal fundamentals to survive the laning phase, Alois made Mundo look good. Sometimes too good. And if you're like me, you've probably been seeing shorts of this guy absolutely farming high elo in Europe with Mundo for months now. Now, thanks in part to these videos, Mundo's play rate shot up this spring, and importantly, his ban rate also exploded too. At one point, on patch 15.12, he had more than a 19% ban rate in Emerald Plus, clearly showing that even skilled players were fed up with this nightmare tank. Now, historically, Riot has made balanced decisions when we see ban rates shoot up like this, even if Mundo still wasn't winning a majority of his games, but in June, Riot's lead gameplay designer Froxon weighed in on Twitter. The message was clear. Mundo might be annoying, but he wasn't winning enough to justify nerfs, and people were pretty frustrated. Now, ultimately, Mundo's play rate has gone down a bit. The initial wave of enthusiasm for the push playstyle didn't turn him into the game's strongest top laner, and it seems like some of the players who picked him up have gone back to their old mains. But since that tweet, Riot hasn't made a single change to this champion. His name has not appeared in any patch notes, and he can still do stuff like this.
I thought I may have given him a chance to win, but never mind. They're not gonna win this game. That's the answer. They're not winning the game. That is the most definite answer.
So what's going on? Well, Mundo does lose lane all the time, and sure, he can get to a late game where he's pretty much unstoppable, especially in lower elos. But this has always been true for certain champions. Think about Kassadin or Kayle. Nobody is demanding nerfs for those champs. What's going on here is that it just feels bad to lose to Mundo, and you remember that bad feeling more than you remember all the times he didn't really do anything in a game. Even Froxon agrees.
Let's just say like Mundo, for example, right, where he, in some situations, right, when he gets out of his like really bad laning phase, just feels like there is nothing you can do. In those situations, the counterplay is like not really accessible, and it happens too often. That players can feel like there's nothing they can do.
For me, this is actually a really interesting balanced conversation. It's quite rare that we see a champion in the spotlight like this who's just not winning all the time. The fact that he's become such a polarizing conversation despite his poor win rate is just further proof that balancing League can be a little bit of a nightmare at times.
It's really important for us, and that from the perspective of the player that's playing a champion, they feel like they get to have that hero pop off, super success moment. And that's, very obvious with Mundo when he presses his ult and he's unkillable and he kills you, right? But the question is, how high does that moment need to be for the player to get that feeling versus how much is it, making everyone angry that they're running into that, right?
Even if Mundo doesn't pop up often, if you've played a lot of solo queue, it's probably happened to you. Losing to Mundo just isn't fun at all, and that does mean something. Which is why Riot is seriously considering taking another look at the Madman of Zorn.
I do think that it's not necessary for him to have this level of top-end dominance relative to how weak he is. So I think we could, that's a long way of saying, I think we could kind of like reduce the highs a little bit, and Mundo players still feel like they're getting to live out that fantasy while also bringing up the floor of counterplay on what players feel like they can do against him.
League is a really complicated game to play. It's an even more complicated game to balance. But I think we're reaching a sort of consensus here that Mundo just might go a bit too far. And so this is kind of a rare moment where we can pull the curtain back a little on how Riot actually approaches these problems. They're very aware of some of the issues with Mundo, but it's been a month since we spoke to Froxon, and they have not yet found a solution they're ready to ship. So for now, if you're a Mundo hater, sit tight. If you're a Mundo hater in low elo, please buy some heel cut. And if you're a convert to the Church of Alois, well, push while you can.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's video. All year we've been traveling around the world with our friends at Omen to bring you coverage of the biggest events on the esports calendar. As part of that, I'd like to ask you all if you could fill out the survey via the link in the description below so we can continue to bring you the content we know that you love. It really helps us out. Thanks for watching.
If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.